What is up, L's and G's? Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today we've got two new cards to review for Dawn of Majesty. We got an Exceed monster revealed like 2 days ago, but I didn't feel like it warranted its own video. And then today we got a new awesome Synchro boss monster that we'll get into as well. They look dope. First and foremost, I just got to say, design-wise, they both look amazing. This thing, kind of a softer like dragon with like the feathers instead of like scales and stuff, but I think it's really cool looking. And then this guy's just a badass, like a wolf dragon made of, metal. He's really cool looking. So let's start off with the Exceed monster. This is Perrin, the Skylark dragon. It is a rank 6 wind worm Exceed monster, 2700 attack, 1300 defense, and it's completely generic. Takes any 2 level 6s. You can only use this card's named second effect once per turn. The first effect reads, cannot be destroyed by battle or card effect while a monster summoned from the extra deck other than itself is face up on the field. So cool, I guess, like gains destruction protection as long as you have a reborn monster on the field. Sure. Second effect, once per turn during the standby phase, you can detach raw material from this card, then target a level 5 or lower monster in the graveyard and special summon it. Okay, this card's just kind of tough to me. Like the protection effect is kind of like the icing on the cake effect, but the cake ain't that good. It's more like the icing on the cupcake. The second effect is so bleh to me. I mean, like, it's only on standby phase. You have to put in 2 level 6 materials to make this, which is actually fairly hefty. I mean, I don't know. That's kind of tough. And all you get back is to reborn 1 level 5 or lower monster. What I do like is there's no like negate the effects of the monster summon. You do get effects, you do get the ability to use them. So that part is not terrible. I just feel like the investment isn't worth like what you're getting here. I just don't think the payoff's really that worth. And also the other thing is, when you think about the kind of decks that even can support a card like this, like what decks do you think that come to your head when you think of, oh, that's a deck that can pump out a rank 6 really easily? I think of stuff like Virtual World. But all of Virtual World's monsters like activate in hand or grave, so they don't need to be reborn. Sure, it puts another body on the field, but it does it slowly on your opponent's turn. And none of them activate on field, so it's not even like you're getting additional bonus. You're not like summoning something and then that card's getting a search on your opponent's standby phase, and then if this card stays around because it's indestructible and maybe you had some other disruption so it survived the turn, you get to summon another one on the next turn and trigger another effect. No, it's not how this card, like the decks that make this don't even have monsters that trigger like that and are nice to reborn like that. Like, I don't know. I just feel like this card is like, what's the point? Why would you ever be going into this when you could be going into like M7 if you want recovery and then removal on the next turn? It's just a little more proactive. You don't have to wait for standby phase. I think then that's really what it is, right? Is when I think of Virtual World, I think like M7 is just like the better version of this in every way. It's faster. It's stronger in that deck because adding something to hand is way better than reborning something, and it's just straight up removal on the next turn if it lives. Gets you into Zeus potentially, right? Because you bounce something, which makes it easier for its attack to go through, and then you just make a Zeus. So I think at the end of the day, this card's just like awful M7 with way less utility. Maybe we'll find a very specific deck at some point though that can use it. I don't know, but yeah, for now I think it's kind of meh. Then we get to our new guy. We have Wolf Freya, the Stellar Wind Wolf. This guy's awesome. He's a beast, synchro effect monster. Wind, level 9, 2500 attack, 0 defense. He is completely generic. This is what we need to see in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is like, they don't need to make them insanely strong, but they need them to be like somewhat generic some of the time, because sometimes they just make stuff too specific and only one deck can use it. And if that one deck is not so good, that card is kind of just like being wasted, you know what I mean? Because there are some great cards and some awful archetypes. All right, anyway, starting off, he's got 3 effects. The first effect reads, you can only control 1 copy of itself. Okay. Second effect, each time another monster's effect is activated while this card has less than 4000 attack, this card gains 300 attack. Couple things to note here, that 300 attack gain is permanent, and Essentially, it's worded kind of weird. I don't think it would be worded like this after it's translated officially, but it essentially says like he starts at 25. Every time a monster effect is activated, he gains 300, which is about 5 monster effects, because 5 times 300 is 1500. Added to 25, exactly 4000. So once 5 monster effects are activated, this guy will hit exactly 4000, and he will be live, we'll say. I'll show you. Because the third effect says once per turn, if this card's attack is 4000 or more, so you got to give him to that 4000 mark, you can shuffle this card and all monsters your opponent controls into the deck. That is some serious payoff. That is what we're looking for. I think this is a very, very strong effect. Obviously, non-targeting, non-destruction, mass removal. It's not even just like target one monster. Or it's not even like shuffle one monster back into the deck. This is shuffle all monsters back into the deck. It's shuffling, so it's not going back to their hand. Sometimes even banishing isn't the best versus specific decks, but I think banishing generally is better than shuffling, because it means they can still search them out of the deck later in the duel. But I imagine you'll hopefully be able to close the duel out fairly soon after resolving this guy. And yeah. So obviously the effect is insanely strong. Quick effect, either player's turn. It's not even linked to only main phase, so it's easier to play around that way. This guy's really strong, I gotta say. And the last thing I want to touch on here for him is, you might be saying like, but John, you got to get him to 4000. That's the drawback. It's definitely the drawback, right? And that's really the only gripe you could even have with this card, I think. But here's the thing. This says each time another monster's effect is activated while this card has less than 4000 attack. And I think the big thing there is like, you can almost compare this to like Nibiru, right? Because Nibiru waits for 5 summons. This guy waits for 5 monster effects. I think the most important thing with this guy is this is any monster effect. Nib is completely reliant on your opponent. If your opponent is not playing a deck that's going to summon 5 times, it's just kind of dead. You can make these 5 activations happen. I guarantee you there are going to be combos where you make this guy early in the combo, activate 5 effects throughout the rest of your turn, and this guy is already live before you even end your first turn. Awesome, right? Or, I mean, even if you can't make him completely live, you may activate 3 monster effects. So your opponent gets 2 monster effects before this guy is able to be live. And most combo decks I know aren't going to be able to put anything up too threatening, like in terms of like being able to threaten him off the field, scare him out, bait him out prior to 2 summons. They need to like normal summon to search or something, maybe with like some kind of Stratos-esque monster, and then they need to use the monster they searched probably as an extender, which sometimes they activate, sometimes they don't, just to get to like their main play. And now you're live. You may not want to activate it then. You may want to wait for specific choke points and stuff, but you are live, and that's the main thing. This card is just going to be insanely strong. This card reminds me of Zeus, right? The mass removal needs a little bit of setup, but I think it's very, very easy to do. Later on in duels, it'll definitely be sketchy, right? Because like if everybody's resources are kind of dwindled, making this guy maybe sketch, because maybe you activate 1 more monster effect on your turn, but then you're in a simplified board state, so you have to wait a couple turns just to get him live. He'll probably get removed at that point. But at least earlier on in duels, I think this is a nice board card. I think of, again, Virtual World, just like the other one. This guy's a Synchro level 9. Any deck that can really abuse Synchro level 9, so I guess you could say like Zephyra's also not a terrible card for them, because they can get to him pretty easily. I'm trying to think what else. Can't really think of anything off the top of my head, but obviously you guys will let me know. Maybe even Speedroids. We're getting more Speedroid support very, very soon. This guy could be, maybe you end Crystal Wing this guy in certain boards. I don't know, but very cool. So yeah, I don't know. I'm into it. I'm definitely about him. He is really strong in my opinion. Let me know your thoughts down below on both of these cards, please, because maybe there's something I'm missing here that makes this guy, maybe there's a deck that can make this guy easy and he actually gives you pretty good value, but I just think he's too slow, not enough. Just play M7 if you can play him. And then this guy, I think this guy is just awesome. I really do. So let me know your thoughts down below on these 2 new cards. I think this is nice. This wolf guy definitely helps the set. I just made the video talking about how this set needs a little boost in the last half of the set to really like round out nicely. And I think this is a start. This is a nice generic card. Could be a secret rare, could be a chase card. I'm not entirely sure. But I like it a lot. So let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for watching. As always, guys, I will catch you in the next video, keeping you updates on all new cards, getting you some reviews there, and of course deck profiles as well. But I'm gonna get the hell out of here. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.